guys, today I want to show you guys my new Shaddoll-Invoked-Dogma deck profile. It's a going second deck for the new format, and yeah, let's see what I came up with. Obviously free Elster. I don't really have to talk a lot about Elster. Free meltdown, yeah, standard ratios, 1 terraforming, you want to see the Elster as often as possible, and then only 2 invocation. Yeah, it's a going second deck. You could play 3 because Elster gets negated a lot of the times, but you really don't want to draw this without Elster. It's not that great because you're not playing a lot of Shadolls in this deck, so, and also no Magnites, so it isn't really worth to set it, so I think 2 is really fine. Then for the best engine of the deck, it's obviously Nadir Servant and the Dogmatika Engine. This is like such a crazy engine. This card alone can like outboard, give you so much advantage. You can just outboard with it, build Winda, yeah, it's like crazy. Then for Ecclesia, I think Ecclesia is like a really good card going second, because even if they shoot your Elster or something happens with your exotic monster, most of the times the opponent also has an extra monster. You can special summon it, and if you have like 2, you can special summon the first one and then link with it into something else, into an anaconda or something like that, and normally the second one then use the effect. It's like really versatile and really good card to use together with Fleur-de-Lis. If you draw the 1 Fleur-de-Lis, you don't really want to draw it, but if you draw it together with Ecclesia, you can outboard with it, because you just norm summon the Ecclesia, use the effect, then they, I don't know, chain Appaloosa, then you chain the Fleur-de-Lis and just negate the Appaloosa. So yeah, Fleur-de-Lis is like a really broken and good card, and you only play 1 because you don't really want to draw it, you want to search it with Ecclesia. And then the second most broken card in this deck, Maximus. You really want to go for Maximus, because this gives you the maximum value out of the Nadir engine. And if you just pitch a monster into the graveyard and then search for the Ecclesia searches Maximus, it's like a lot of value, because this one can break boards with Antis and also get you a Winda, and yeah, it just gives you so much plus if the opponent can't go plus with it. If you play it against like Dragonlink or something like that, it's even better. If you play against tribes, you have to be a bit careful, but you go second, so a lot of their cards are already out of the extra dragon. They have to think if they really want to use their second Ferrijit or their second Shuraik to search, and not just to use it later in the duel, because you don't really OTK with this deck. You just break the board and then you control the board with the advantage you gain through the crazy engines. And then also the last card is Dogmatika Punishment. Only 1 punishment, because as I said, it's a going second deck. You don't really want to see those traps, but it's like really good if you already have like Ecclesia and Maximus, or if you have Nadir and Ecclesia, you can just search with the Ecclesia the punishment and then use it in the next turn to just control the board. Punishment is like a super crazy card. Alright, and then for the next engine, the Shaddoll Engine, it's like really small. You only play like 3 Shaddoll Fusion. This is like the best card of the Shaddoll Engine, hands down. It just does a lot. It just gives you Winda, it gives you access to everything if the opponent has an extra deck monster. And then you play like the best targets going second. Only 2 Shaddoll monsters in the main deck, because they really do brick. You don't really want to see those. You really don't want to see those. If you draw them, it's like already not a good hand, but sometimes you draw them, you can still play with 1 of those in the hand, and you can then digit for App Cologne and then shoot something. Sometimes it's nice to draw them, but yeah, you can just out a board with Shaddoll Fusion alone. If they do not negate it, or if you activate Meltdown, you already like threat the board, because then they cannot negate the Shaddoll Fusion. Only if they have like an Ash or a Hot Red Dragon Arching Abyss, then they can negate it, but you can just out a board with this. You can just go activate Shaddoll Fusion, send those 2, go for App Cologne, then you can set the chain links as you like. This just alone outside Tri-Brigade board, because you shoot with the dragon, the revolt, you negate the Appo with the App Cologne, and then you can use the Ariel as chaining 3 to just make sure the other ones go through. They can't negate with Appo. And then a really great card, Schism. Yeah, you just search this. This is an instant winner. It's like so broken. So yeah, and that's it for the engine in this deck. You play a lot of non-engine cards. It's like only 24 engine cards. Then you play obviously 3 Pot of Prosperity. We're playing really small engines, so we need this card to have a consistent deck, and you always want to go for 3. If your hand is like really bad, then you go for 6, but you don't really want to banish all of your extra deck, but you need the consistency, and you can afford to banish 3 cards out of your extra decks, because this deck can't really grind anyway, because it just the opponent starts, you break the board, you control the board, and then the next turn you kill him. So this is like the plan of the deck, and this is why it's alright to also play this card. You can't ODK him. Your only real option to ODK is if the opponent just gives you an empty board, then you can kill them. Or if you have like a poker trio that can poke like 3 monsters, then you can also kill them, but a lot of the times you don't really kill the opponent, so it's alright that you only give half damage, and you don't really have draw cards, so it's also fine. And you play a lot of Boardbreaker cards that you can see with the Pot of Prosperity. Yeah, speaking of Boardbreakers, we have like a 3 Forbidden Droplet. Hands down one of the best cards right now, one of the best staples right now. This one is such a good card. You can also ensure your Alistair to go through with this card. If they use Imperm on it, you can just chain the Droplet, lay it into the graveyard. This one just breaks board on its own. It's just such a good card. Together with the Droplet, we also play Daggeralo more. As I said, we don't want to OTK, we just want to break the board, and this is like the best card to do that, because Droplet just costs card. You have to discard, you have to use from the field, but this is like way more versatile. This just does one thing, negate the whole board. And yeah, it's good for what it is, so you play it. And yeah, you just use this, then use Shadow Fusion, you use the Alistair, or even use Lightning Storm, which is the other crazy card you play. You play so heavy and strong board breaker cards in this deck. If you draw like Droplet and Lightning Storm, or Droplet and Dark Ruler, you can out almost any board with this. It's like really crazy. And yeah, the only hand trap I'm playing is Gamma plus the 1 brick, the driver, because I think this is the best hand trap right now, because it has the highest impact. In this deck it's also especially good because you always go second, so you can always use it in the first turn, and it's not dead in your hand if you go first. And it's also light, so you can use it for Mechaba. And the other thing is yeah, you can just if the opponent tries to draw you on your Meltdown, or on your Nadir, or tries to ash you on the Nadir, or even on the Shaddoll Fusion, you can just use the Gamma and then get rid of the ash. So Gamma really does a lot for this deck, and is really broken in it. And the last thing I want to point out why Gamma is broken right now, because nobody just plays 1 Gamma for the crossout designator. You have to go then for Gamma as a package if you want to neg it with the crossout designator. And the only deck that does that is the Tri-Brigade deck, because it's really good in their deck because of the Rescue Cat. Or yeah, so yeah, Rhydron can't really play Gamma because they cannot use it. So yeah, I think Gamma is the best hand trick right now. So that's it for the main deck. 40 cards. Yeah, as usual, I don't want to go over 40 cards. And yeah, then for the extra deck, Link Monsters, Secure Guard, Almirage. I think this package is really necessary in this deck, because first thing, you want to have a fire for the poker trio, and the second thing is you really want to have the other card in the graveyard for the Maximus, because the Maximus is one of your strongest plays, because you can shoot the opponent's board. So yeah, that's like the reason why I play this over the Magistus Moon Maiden. The third link one is the Gravity Controller. I didn't play this before. I played a second Antis, but I think this is like important to play, because if you only have like the Shaddoll Fusion, or even if you have like more engine, you can just way more easy get rid of your summoned App Cologne, and then get your get your Schism and get rolling. So I think Gravity Controller is pretty good to play in this deck. And the last link monster is the Verti. Yeah, you always go second, so Shaddoll Fusion with Verti is always live, and yeah, you just go for the 2 monsters. Sometimes if the opponent has like a light in the graveyard, I only go for Almirage with Alistair, so I can use the Almirage and another monster, maybe the Invoked monster I went in, or whatever I have to special summon for the Vertis later. So yeah, and then you can just set up the window and yeah, maybe lock the opponent. So I really like those folding monsters. The Gravity Control you may cut and play another Entis. I'm not really sure what I want to do, but I'm playing it like that. Maybe I'm playing it later a different way, but yeah, I think this is fine right now. Then for the Invoked monsters, we're playing 2 Mechabell, because yeah, it's the best Invoked monster. Then Augritis, this is like also really good if you have like the fusion monsters in the grave, because it outs a lot, and it's also Mechabell always goes neck if he wants to negate something. Augritis just pops anything if on summon, and with Meltdown you can just easily out the monsters then, because they cannot react to the effect of Augritis. And yeah, also in the second turn they special summon tribes with Karas or whatever, you can just pop the Karas, so yeah, it's fine. And speaking of good cards against Tri-Brigade, the Raijin, Tri-Brigade has a lot of wind monsters in their graveyard, so you can actually use Raijin. And also if you get Drolled or something, you can also build him, but he's like really good. They normal summon the tribes, you can just book them. Also if you have Meltdown, you can break boards with Raijin, just book the board with Savage Dragon on summon or something like that. So it's like a really good card. And the last Invoked monster is the Purgatrio. You can just pull out random OTKs with this card, so yeah, it's also pretty great. Then for the Shaddoll targets, we're playing 2 App Clone. I think 2 App Clone is really necessary in this deck, because yeah, you want to use the first App Clone for, I don't know, the Shaddoll Fusion to negate something, and the second App Clone you need for maybe the Dogmatika Punishment or for the Nadi's Servant, so it's like really good to have another App Clone in this deck. And then 1 Construct and also 1 Window, the Window to lock out and the Construct to just add something back, or sometimes in matchups, for example against Eldritch, it's like really good to have the Construct to send the non-destructible Eldritch, the Golden Lord, and then you can also use the effect of Construct to pitch Ariel Banish. You have a really good matchup against Eldritch with this deck. And yeah, then for the last 2 cards, those are the targets for the Servant or for the Maximus. You just pitch the Entis to break boards, the Ash Dragon to search on the end phase. Yeah, this deck doesn't really have a lot of stamina with the extra deck, but it has like a really big first punch. So yeah, you really want to end the games in turn 3 or 4, because if you play against like heavy grind decks, they can easily outgrind you with this deck. They can't outgrind you if you have everything, but if you have like a mediocre board, they can easily outgrind you. Alright, for the side deck, we're playing the best side deck card right now. I think this is the best side deck card right now against the combo decks. I even considered it to play the Droll Logbook in the Bird in the main deck, but yeah, I'm a bit iffy about that. But I think Gamma is right now better in the main deck, but you can also play the Droll in the main deck. It's like a really strong card right now. And yeah, I'm almost signed in every match against Drytron. Even the mirror matches, it's insane against Dragon Link. So yeah, it's a great card. And then also we're playing Nibiru, and Nibiru is also pretty good against Drytron. You side those 2 in against Drytron, and also against Dragon Link, against Tribes. It's not that great, but it's alright. But you don't really want to side the Nib against Drytron. And the Nib is also in here because sometimes you don't really know when you go first or second, because if they see that you play like Lightning Storm and also Dark Ruler in the main deck, they may let you go first. So you just go for the safe route and then side in the Nib and also the Ash. So that's why I'm playing those hand traps in here. And sometimes you also have to play against decks that just are too good going first, for example Drytron. So then you want to go first yourself because your engine is like also pretty good again going first. So you just side out those hard going first cards and going second cards, and then just side out in those hand traps so they do something. And yeah, this is like the going first plan and also the hand trap plan. Also, this is like really good in some grind matchups, and also in the mirror match, the Ash Blossom is like so important to negate the Shaddoll Fusion or negate the Nutty Servant. So yeah, that's really great. And also for the back row hate, yeah, you really hate back row of this deck. So you just kill it with Evenly, kill it with Lightning Storm, kill it with Cosmic, and yeah, you have 8 ways to remove back row plus the Shaddoll Fusion, which you can use the dragon to also kill the back row. And the last card is the Shaddoll Incarnation. You really need this card in the mirror match because if people play the normal Shaddoll-Invoked-Dogmatika deck where they have a lot of Shaddoll monsters in the main deck, it's a bit more bricky, but if they do draw good, you have a really hard time to beat them, because if they just start to make plus with the beast, draw through this card and something like that, it's like really hard to beat them. So you need this card in grindy matchups. Also, if you play against Eldritch, you just side in the Shaddoll Incarnation so that you just have more of a late game. With this version of the deck, you don't really have a lot of a late game, but if you can just loop the app clone, it's a really good thing. All right, yeah, that's it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you like it, and stay tuned, guys, for maybe more videos.